Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Blazor e-commerce series, the Blazing Shop. This time it's getting really interesting because of course you wanted to see a checkout option in this shop. Well, you have been right, of course. What is an e-commerce site or a shop without an option to check out? Cannot make money with that. So here it is, and I think Stripe is a great option for that because the implementation is really easy, really simple with the help of Stripe.net, a library by Stripe. This works really nice, and I hope you will learn how to do this and then know how to do this. We dive a little bit deeper in the upcoming e-commerce course, or maybe it's already out when you're watching this, I don't know. Either way, check out the links in the video description, and maybe you wanna also subscribe to my newsletter, because then you will get information about this course and other courses. You will get early access to this course. Actually, you will see a preview, and I would love to get some feedback for the course then. But for that, just subscribe to my newsletter, and really I promise I rarely write an email, not even once a month, so it's really about crucial information, new stuff like the e-commerce course. Apart from that, if you learned something, I would really appreciate it if you click the like button and maybe even subscribe to my channel. It does make a difference. Thank you so much for that. And the only way I can do all these videos is with coffee. So thank you so much to everyone getting me some coffee. You're really supporting me with doing that and supporting my family, supporting this channel. Thank you. You guys, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, but enough about that. Let's get to Stripe. Enjoy the video. All right, now the very first thing, of course, you would need to enable checking out with Stripe is a Stripe account, of course. You can get one, stripe.com, and as you can see regarding the pricing, it's pretty nice because you do not have to pay a monthly fee. It's pay-as-you-go pricing, so only when you make money and users buy anything from you, then Stripe is also making money. That's what you have to keep in mind, and that's pretty nice, I think. So this is totally fine, except, well, you need a custom package, then that's that. But I think in most cases it's totally sufficient to use this pay-as-you-go pricing here. Long story short, register for an account, and when you did this, then you can go to your dashboard. And as you can see here, this is my dashboard. Made lots of money lately, but as you can see here, this is just test data, unfortunately. But this is what you have to keep in mind as well, that you want to activate this switch here. Just check that flag, and then you will see test data, because we then can go to the developers menu entry here. Lots of API requests lately, and then we can go to API keys, and in here now you see this secret key, and we will need this secret key in a couple of minutes to create this checkout form and so-called checkout session. Yeah, because with that, then you will know, or Stripe will know, that we are actually using your account here, right? Additionally, one more thing I want to show you are the Stripe documentations here. And as you can see, I've already opened this thing, accept a payment. And with that, you can choose to, well, use the implementation you see here, or you do it a little bit different, and this is what I will show you here. To get there, you can Google for it, of course, or let me go back a little here. I Googled for Stripe checkout, then you go there, Stripe checkout, and then you scroll a bit further down, and then you have these three options: accept a one-time payment, set up future payments, and also create a subscription. What I want to do here in this episode is accepting a one-time payment, and then we are here already. Okay, that's that. This is the whole Stripe setup. And then what we can do is we can use the stripe.net package. As you can see here, we can use the .net command, or we use NuGet. Let's go to our project. There it is. Opened it already, prepared a little bit. Hope this works now. Otherwise, we will see some errors, but I think that's okay as well. Anyways, on our server project, we right click and then say manage NuGet packages, and then when this finished loading, we browse for Stripe. There it is already, and we then need this package here, stripe.net by Stripe itself. 9 million downloads. Just install this thing, and then we get a nice little library we can use to use Stripe checkout. Okay, that's that. Is it here now? Yeah, it is. Nice. Show me. Doesn't want to show me. Show me now. Okay, there it is. Great. Let's save this. We've got Stripe. And now the idea is the following. When we have a quick look at the documentation again, the first step is to redirect your customers to Stripe checkout. They are using a form here. When I tried this with the form, it did not work. I don't know why. I got a course error, meaning cross origin resource sharing error from Stripe. I don't know why again, but doesn't really matter because we can fix this, of course, instead of using the form, because what the form is actually doing, it is, well, making an HTTP call, kind of a post call to this endpoint here. And we can do this in another way, of course, in Blazor. And also we can send some data then with this call we are going to make. And after that, what happens is you create a so-called checkout session. That's why we need the stripe.net library. We can set the items, and with all that, Stripe will create a checkout session. And then what they do here in the example is they set the location in the response header of this call to the session URL, and then return a 303, and this means this is a redirect. So the browser then knows, oh, this is the response of this call, and it's saying me to redirect the user to this URL. So it will make, redirect to this URL that it's getting back. But instead of this thing here, what we will do is we will return only the session URL in the result with status code 200. So it's a simple OK. And then in this result, there will be the session URL. And then we will use the navigation manager of Blazor to navigate the user to this URL. Works as well, no errors, everything's fine. So let's do this, I'd say. So let's go back to Visual Studio. And we can actually start with the card service, I would say, because here now we can create another method called checkout. And this thing then will be called from our card raiser file here from the page. So first, the method in the interface. This will be, or the return type will be a string, task string, because of the URL, and we call this thing simply checkout. Let's implement this. Implement interface. All right. And now we just say bar result is await. It's an asynchronous method, so we add the async keyword here. And then I think we do not have the HTTP client yet. So yeah, we have to inject this. HTTP client, call this thing HTTP. We add the using directive to system.net HTTP and add the field underscore HTTP. And now we can make the call. And that'll be HTTP post as JSON async, and we need another package here, or another package namespace, system.net HTTP JSON. And now the URL will be, we will create the controller in a couple of minutes, of course. API payment, this will be a payment controller with also a payment service. But the name of the endpoint is checkout. And what I want to do is I also want to send our cart items to the service, because then really great feature of the Stripe checkout is that we can actually set the items the user wants to buy, and then you will also see the names of the items, the price of course, and the image and stuff like that. Really, really great stuff. And it's actually pretty easy. So this would be the call then, and again this will return a URL. So let's get this URL with await result content, and then read as string async, and then we return the URL. That's that. And now in the card raiser here, we need first the navigation manager. So inject navigation manager. And down here now, instead of simply setting order place to true, hello, comment this out, we do now the following. We call the checkout method, of course, with string checkout URL is await card service checkout. And after that, we use again the navigation manager to navigate the user to the checkout URL like that. And we empty the cart. Okay, and this actually we can remove this. All right, so we've got the cart covered. Again, we call the checkout method of the cart service. It will return a URL, and this is where we want the user to go to. And we also empty the cart, which is just stored in the local storage, not in a database. In the e-commerce course, the upcoming course, by the way, you can of course subscribe to my newsletter to get notified when this thing is published and when you can get a sneak peek or a preview of this course. There we will actually of course store all this stuff in the database, but maybe we will also do this in this series here on YouTube. Let's see. But here's again the cart service. This is making the call now, and I think the next step already is to go to the service, unless we can also make one change or add one more thing to the client. Let's do that first maybe, because when we have again a quick look here, we see that this is where the checkout session is created, and down here we see a success URL, and this is where the user will be redirected to when the payment was successful. There's also a cancel URL. In our case, I would just send the user back to the cart. But for this thing, let's create a new page first. Real quick, pages, and let's create a new razor component for that. Call this order success. This is a page. So we add this thing here and call this order success. And let's just say thank you. Thank you so much for buying our stuff. Thank you so much for your order. We'll love you forever. And let's add this thing here. Nice. Okay. And this is our success page. Okay, this should be the complete client. And now we can go to the server. So first, the service. We add a new folder and call this folder payment service. And it conflicts with an existing folder because I tried this already. Let's fix this real quick. Okay, let's add a new folder and call this payment service. There we add an interface, payment service, and this one is public. Also, we add an implementation class, of course. Call this payment service. That was the wrong place. Let's delete this one and add it here again. Payment service, implementing the payment service. We register this in the startup CS, of course. Payment service, payment service, and also at the using directive, and the controller is missing, so add a new controller, an API controller, which is empty. Call this payment controller. In here we can already create our constructor again, where we inject the payment, not the controller, the payment service, of course. Call this payment service, add our using directive and this beautiful field. Okay, now the method would be called checkout or create checkout session. Let's call this checkout session. That's the wrong interface. This is the correct interface. Not asynchronous this time. We just use a synchronous method here, returning a session. This is a Stripe object. Stripe checkout is the right namespace here. Create checkout session. And again, when you have a look at the documentation, where is it? Here it is. Doesn't have any parameters here, and they do this in the controller. Well, of course you can do it like that, but in our case we will use the service, and it gets an argument, and this is our list of cart items. So list cart items, and we add the shared namespace. This should be it, and now we can implement the interface here, and we also add a constructor here because we have to configure one thing. Stripe configuration is, for that we need the using directive for Stripe, and here now we can set the API key, and to get this key again we go to our dashboard here, developers API keys, and then you go to secret key, click reveal test key, and then you got your key. And well, it's a test key, but still, I don't know. Let me just get it from the other screen, copy this and put this in here. All right, so we got our key, and now we can finally use this in the create checkout method. And back to the documentation, let's just copy this whole thing and paste it here first and fix the formatting. I think that's, no, one more, that's it. And now we can change this code, of course. But let me explain what's happening here. So in the create checkout session, we create, well, a checkout session. This thing gets some options, and in these options, the very first thing here is the payment methods. This card means that you want to enable credit card payments. And the great thing also is that Stripe recognizes if Google Pay or Apple Pay is available. So if the user, for instance, accesses your page with Google Chrome and has a Google account where a credit card is stored, then you can use Google Pay in this case. You will see this neat little button, and I think we will see this in a minute, that you can pay with Google Pay. When you're using a MacBook or maybe also an iPhone, then you would also see the Apple Pay button if you're registered for Apple Pay and so on. You know the drill. Other options would be, I don't know, a debit card or something like that. But I think in these cases, the payment wouldn't happen directly, meaning that when you're using a credit card or Google or Apple Pay, then Stripe will be able to finish up the payment directly. But if you're using other payment methods, then the payment would be delayed, and you must work with webhooks to recognize the payment in essence. And we will use webhooks in the upcoming e-commerce course. Maybe you want to subscribe to my newsletter to get the latest information about this thing and maybe see a preview, get a discount when it's published, and so on. In the course, we will use webhooks to store the order in the database. In the series here, you know it, we're using the local storage, and just empty the cart then when we place the order and checked out and stuff. And in the course, we will make a bit more. But enough about that. Payment method, cart. That's that. Line items. Now, these are the products or the items the user wants to buy. You see a t-shirt here as an example item. We will use our cart items in a second. After that, you got the mode, and payment is the one-time payment. Already mentioned that. You've also got the future payments and subscriptions, and this again, success URL and cancel URL. We can change that real quick, I guess, to localhost 5001, and this would be order success, and here it's localhost 5001 and then cart. Of course, when you go live, you would have to change that as well as the API keys. Got that covered. And now regarding the line items, let's fix that. We want to use our cart items. So let's create a new variable, which is of type list session line item options. Okay, and then cart items for each. What we want to do here, for every cart item, we want to add a new line item, and this is a new session line item options object, like that. And the first thing, you see it in the example down here, the price data, which is of type session line item price data options. And here now, don't forget the new keyword. And here in the example, you see the unit amount, crazy amount of $2,000. No, it's of course not 2,000, it's 20. So what we have to do to get the correct value here, first we use unit amount decimal because we use the decimal type, and we just take the price and multiply it by 100, and then this is the correct value. For the currency, we also choose US dollars. And now the product data, this is great because we can set the name and also images. And this is a new session line item price data product data options object. Beautiful name. And here for the name, we just say cart item product title. And the images, we can actually add a list of images, but we only got one. But the great thing is, it comes in quite handy, we also use, or Stripe also uses the URL of the image. So that works. And now I think we're done here. The next thing is already the quantity. And the quantity can be set to the quantity of the cart item. And that's it. And here now we replace the example line item, the t-shirt here for 20 bucks with our line items. And then instead of this thingy here, we simply return the session. And I think this should be it. Okay. Let's test this. In the package manager console, I am already in the server directory. So let's hit .NET watch run. And now I'm really excited. It's building, that's great. Here's our shop. Let's open the console maybe. Okay. And now cart is already filled with Ready Player One. Want one more thing. You know that the new Diablo 2 Resurrected or Resurrection game is coming out in September. So let's buy the old one. Now we've got 2 items in our cart. That's great. And now let's place the order. And this did not work because API payment checkout. Oh yeah, I totally forgot the controller. Why didn't you tell me this? Jesus. As always, it's quite late and my coffee is empty. So let's add this endpoint here, of course, with HTTP post checkout, and this method looks like that. Again, it's not async this time, it's simply returning an action result. Create checkout session. Come on, session list cart items with the proper using directive here, and then we get a session from the payment service. Create checkout session, send the cart items to the service, and then, and this is now important, of course, we return the session URL. Okay, but now it will work. Sure about that. So we got Ready Player One. Maybe add this to cart, and because we love Diablo so much, we buy 2 of them. And now let's place the order, and we're getting the Stripe checkout form. Isn't that great already? And as I told you, you see the items here with their names, even the quantity, the price for each single item, complete price, of course. You can use Google Pay here, and you can also use your credit card if you want to. Let me use Tony Stark's credit card here. It's this one. Okay, nice. Tony Stark, country is Germany. Okay. And then say pay. And after that, we get to our order success page and we say, thank you so much for your order. We love you forever. This works. Isn't that great? And then when you go to your dashboard again, you see more requests, 10 more to be more exact, because Stripe is sending requests like payment intent created, I don't know, checkout started, checkout successful, payment successful, checkout session completed, and so on. And then we can go to payments. And as you can see here, I bought lots of stuff lately. Here's our payment. Here's our payment for the items. And I just love that you see the items here with the image. That's so great. It's fantastic. Yeah, and that's it. That's really it. Let's recap this real quick. So what we want to do first is maybe start with a client where we make a web service call and then return the session URL and navigate the user to this URL. Web service call is done here. It's a post. We can send any kind of object we want to this controller, of course, because it's our controller, so we can make use of all the data we need, and then again return the URL where we want to redirect the user. That's crucial, of course. This is a redirect to the form of Stripe, to the Stripe checkout form. And now for the server, we got the controller here injecting our payment service with the method CreateCheckoutSession. And now we get to use the stripe.net library. There's our key. And then with the CreateCheckoutSession method, we set the line items. Of course, you can look up the documentation to get more details here. What's a bit sad, I think, is that you cannot set the delivery address. You can set an email like that, I think. Not there. I think it was here. Customer email, for instance. But you cannot really set an address. In this case, you would have to create a customer first with another call where you can then set the delivery address or shipping address and then use the ID of the customer, something like that, to get the address and pre-fill the address, I think. But the users, they can say that they want to save the information for a later checkout, so there's the other option to pre-fill the address. You get the idea. Anyways, we set the price data with the currency, product data, and so on. We can choose different payment methods, different modes here, and then we need a success URL, a cancel URL. We create a session with the session service of Stripe, of stripe.net, and with that we can return the session, and it goes back the whole way to the client, where we're then redirecting again the user to the Stripe checkout form. And then we can get the monies. Isn't that great? Yeah, that's it. That's how you implement a Stripe checkout within your Blazor application, and using the .NET Web API with Stripe.net and so on. You watched the video, so you know what you just did, right? That's how you do it. I hope you learned something and you liked this video. If so, please click the like button, smash it, and maybe even subscribe to my channel. It does make a difference. Thank you very much for that. Maybe you want to subscribe to my newsletter as well. Again, for the upcoming e-commerce course, much more stuff in there. You will get information about this course in your inbox, and I promise I won't send emails often, not even once a month. So it's really about crucial information. So if you want to get a preview of this course, then maybe you want to subscribe to that newsletter. And thank you so much to everyone getting me coffee. This is how you can support me, this channel, my family. Thank you so much. That's how I do this. I just love coffee, and really that's the only way to be awake and do all this somehow. With the little toddler who's not sleeping through the night. Coffee is amazing. Okay, thank you very much for that. You guys are amazing. And apart from that, if you want to dive deeper already into Blazor WebAssembly, then maybe you want to check out the Blazor WebAssembly Full Stack Bootcamp. There we are creating an online browser game, a classic online browser game, where people can register with JSON Web Tokens, create an army of fighters, fight against each other, climb the leaderboard, and become the best of them all. There's a preview available here on YouTube. Just check out the info card, and the link to the course is in the video description. And that's that. Thank you very much for watching again. Really appreciate it, and I see you next time. Take care.